Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster in the building. Before we get started with this week's show, this week's Pistons Weekly, I want to remind everybody to subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube and make sure for your audio fix that you're following us anywhere you can hear a podcast. All you have to do is type in Post Game Podcast, FFSN. Those are platforms like YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere you can listen to a podcast. Just type that in, hit the search, make sure you're following us. Make sure that notification bell is on so when we drop content, you'll get an alert and download those episodes. Foster, we got some new additions to the roster. We'll talk about that in depth. And I want to say first, the NBA draft for the first time, and I don't know, I think it might be the first time ever, was a 2-day event. That was, you know what it is? And I've been saying this. The NFL does draft coverage to perfection, right? They drag it for 3 days. But most people are really tuned in on the second and third day as much as they are the first. So I think what they're trying to do is they say, okay, we got to spice this thing up because NBA draft, 2 rounds, all the same nights. Let's drag it out. They did a different intro. They had so many people in the building. I've never seen so many athletes in the building for a draft, especially the second round, people going up to the stage. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to, it's a marketing thing, and they're trying to expand the viewership of the NBA draft because we know after the first few lottery picks, a lot of us really aren't paying attention. So that's what's crazy about it. And I watched the first 4 or 5 picks, and to be honest, I didn't know much about most of the draft. After that, I paid attention. I didn't watch it. I watched the updates on my phone. Mm-hmm. However, there was a second night, and I definitely was paying attention because the Pistons drafted at 37. Now, a little disclaimer for those that were looking for something in the draft, right? Realistically, before the draft starts, you have to look. You have to look at the draft overall. Top-heavy draft, right? There's maybe, 8 or 9. There's like 2 or 3 elite draft prospects. There's about maybe 10 or 11 good ones altogether. I don't want to say good, but that could start probably. After that, you got a lot of potential and you got a lot of people that you hope to be good. So looking at it, drafting at 37 is not going to be a difference maker for the Pistons. You want them to get a good pick. You're hoping someone falls. You're hoping there's a fit for your team at 37. But we're not. Me and Foster, I can speak for me and Foster because me and Foster talk. We weren't banking on the number 37 pick to take us to where to the promised land.
To the promised land.
What do you think about that, Foster? The whole 37th pick and the draft as a whole.
Well, it's, of course, once you get in the second round, it's a crapshoot. You're certainly, there's no guarantees there. No guarantees for them that they'll even make the team, especially as you get deeper into the second round. But there's actually good value to be had. The one thing that I noticed is that, the draft nowadays is all about upside. It's not about you're going to find guys in the second round that average 20 points a game. These were high usage guys on their particular teams, but you're also going to find older guys that are a little bit more mature and have already kind of met their ceiling. They have high floors, low ceilings.
Right.
So you're gonna find some good value and some good talent there, but there early on in the lottery, you're gonna find guys that are 18, 19, you know, rawer players that you have more confidence might have a that have there's more confidence that they'll develop and evolve into something more so than you're going to find guys that have that have good production at that level. So you can't really sleep on those second round picks because a lot of those guys are established older players, and that's what you're going to find from our second round pick and also some of our undrafted free agents that we'll talk about too.
So you saying a bunch of YNs in the first round?
And a bunch of and so, unks in training later on, but Unk get busy too.
I'll get
He
busy
keep
too.
that strap too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Before we get into the Pistons draft pick, Foster, who there was two unsigned free agents, and I know if anybody knows Foster, he's looked these people up. He probably knows he probably knows the vertical. I know he knows the height and weight of these players, the positions. He's probably done his homework. Foster, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but who are these unsigned free agents that the Pistons picked up right immediately after the draft?
Nah, you didn't put me on the spot. You know I do my research. The there's it's hard to find the announcements like or accurate announcements as far as who we've gone out and got, but I was able to find three particular players that I was able to get some information on. Zakai Ziegler actually played with Chaz Lanier at Tennessee, so they brought him in. He's a 5'9", 171-pound point guard, so pretty undersized.
Yeah, 5'9"
Um,
is crazy in the NBA.
yeah, yeah. But he
That's
had
Detroit line. That's Detroit line cornerback size.
not that's I mean that's dangerously close to it's kind of embarrassing to think about, but that's dangerously close to my numbers. Except he's shorter than me.
Yeah,
Go figure. But I like what I see as far as his scouting report. He's a high energy guy. He's defensive minded, obviously limited at his size, but he gets after it on the defensive end. He's got a high IQ. He's a floor general. He's got a quick first step, which you gotta have at the 5'9".
he's better at 5'9",
Man, right? You know what I mean? But
but
yeah,
I don't
so
know if it's gonna get you anywhere going against those trees. But
yeah, especially when they look at his weaknesses, is that he's got inconsistent shooter. I mean,
ah,
you gotta be able to knock the ball
you
down.
got to be able to shoot at 5'9".
Yeah, so he's not the most efficient scorer, but like I said, he's more of a floor general. He gets the team involved. He averaged 7 assists his last year, which is not going to be difficult when you got a knockdown shooter like Chaz Lanier, who's going to do a lot of the work for you. But yeah, so that's one of the guys. But the most interesting guy the guy that I'm most interested in seeing perform at the summer league level is a guy named Bryce Williams. This guy's 6'6". He's a 6'6" wing. He's got a 6'10" wingspan, and he does a little bit of everything. He averaged 20 points a game at Nebraska, and he's
I
a
watched him play a little bit.
yeah. I was gonna say he's a guy that kind of I kind of recall, but it's Nebraska, so he's not
Nobody
immediately.
really respects, you know, Nebraska,
Right. I
but
don't think they've had a good prospect since Tyronn Lue. How about that? No, I'm
that's
sure
that's
there was some guys in between
pretty
that,
sure. But
but remember Tyronn Lue.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, he's an efficient scorer. He shot 47% from the field, 37% from 3 point range, 88% free throw shooter. And most importantly, when you shoot 88% from the free throw line, this guy has draws 6 free throws a game. So he's a guy that
mm,
is able to get downhill. He's able to draw contact. He's not the most athletic. He's not the most fleet of foot, which is going to be his biggest concern is being able to create space. But I like his size. I like the fact that he's got a good wingspan, and I like the film I see on him. He's obviously an older player. I think he was a senior when he left, so that plays into older players, higher floor, lower ceiling, but the performance, the results are there. I mean, he averaged 20 points a game. He was a high usage guy. He's going to have to work on his off ball skills because he's not. Once you get to the NBA level, you no longer have the ball in your hands like that unless you are like that.
Unless you
So
like that.
yeah. So
Then and only then.
yeah, yeah. So that's the biggest one of the outside of just the overall athleticism jump. It's adjusting to not being the man and having to perform uh, with the ball not in your hands. So that's where moving without the ball, converting on your catch and shoot opportunities. That's where that comes into play because the roles shift at the next level. But outside of that, there's one other guy, Dawson Garcia. This guy is, I want to say I think he's like 6'10", are like around 6'9", 6'10", and he's like a floor spacing forward. So I know a lot of people were weary of us going out and getting another guard and not addressing the floor spacing situation. But yeah, Dawson Garcia, he played all over. I think he started at Marquette. He played 1 year in North Carolina, but he took off in Minnesota. That's another guy that you may have got a glimpse at. Even if you didn't know you did,
Yeah.
you definitely saw him at Minnesota if you were watching Big Ten basketball. And yeah, he's another the one thing that I'm seeing the one thing that I'm seeing as far as the guys that we're bringing in, they're all shooters.
All shooters.
This guy
Well,
was
except the 5'9" guy.
he's not he doesn't fall in the shooter category. He's more the floor general, facilitator type, which is also important because we
Very
are
important.
we're looking for that on our second unit. We got that pretty much sewed up at the starter position, but we're looking for guys that can facilitate. So but yeah, Dawson Garcia averaged 19 points and 7 rebounds at Minnesota in his senior year, 47% from the field, 37 from three, and 78% from the free throw line. And that 37% from three is consistent throughout his entire college career. He's also an older guy. Like I said, he played for 3 different teams throughout his college career. So he's older. And so he's kind of closer to that finished product. But I see when I look at him, not to say that he's going to come right in and take over, but he's kind of in that mold of what Fontecchio would be providing for you, a guy that can shoot from the outside, but he can put the ball on the floor. He's got some size, and I see a lot of guys, even that Bryce Williams guy, that's 6'6", with a 6'10" wingspan. He's another guy that, like, hey, Fontecchio, we know he's coming into the final year of his contract. We're looking for guys that we can, move off their salary and use
push
as trade
push the
assets.
and be competitive. Push the people that's on the roster.
Yeah, and make it make sense. How much are we really missing if we get rid of a Fontecchio right now? Like if he's not spacing the floor effectively, he's
What
kind of
good are
useless
you?
otherwise. Yeah.
What
So,
good are you if you're not doing that?
but yeah, that pretty much covers all of the undrafted free agents. There was one other guy that I think went to Alabama State, but I could not find much on him. So maybe we'll find out more information later on. But that pretty much covers it as far as undrafted free agents are concerned.
So I'm pretty sure at some point we'll do an in-depth profile on those players, and then we'll talk more. Of course, we're going to talk more about them, especially if they make any kind of splash in the summer league, because the summer league games are on the way. So what we're going to do right here, Foster, we're going to take a break, and what you see in the break, if you're watching, you're seeing a preview of the new sports show that me and Foster got going on. Could be another host as well. We'll see. But what we doing is we're expanding the brand a little bit. We created a new show, and we'll be talking about all Michigan sports, whether it's prep football, prep basketball, high school stuff, little league stuff. We'll be interviewing coaches, stuff like that. It'll be all Michigan type of stuff there. So if you're watching, we'll be back in about 56 seconds because that's how long the clip is. If you're listening, you're going to hear some wonderful ads. And when we get back, we'll talk about the number 37 pick that the Pistons chose in the 2025 NBA draft. We'll be right back. Yeah, you saw it. The new show on Wax, Michigan Sports Uncut. You might see a different version of me and Foster, but it'll still be, foundation is still there though.
Right. That clip
We're
is
just
so
going,
fire though. Hey, dude, that does that clip.
man.
He does good work, man.
Man, shout out to Yo Yo, man. If you need an intro, man, just holler at me. If you need a show intro, I got a couple people. Zeke does them well, as he can do his thing on those too. But there's a guy from I know he's from Florida. I'm not sure if he's from Miami or not, but I know he's from Florida. My boy Yo Yo. So he'll get you right. So if you notice the intro for the Pistons, the Lions, and now on Wax Michigan Uncut, um, he does all my intros. So anyway, back to the NBA draft. Pistons selected um, Chaz Lanier and Foster. I'm not gonna lie, I had in my mind that the Pistons would go that route. And I said they would go that route if the uh, Brome, I think that's his last name, from Auburn wasn't around. And he got drafted a few picks earlier. And said it's going to be Chaz Lanier. From what I've seen, him being about, well, I ain't going to say it's because I know I'm going to leave that for you, but I know what he can do on the court, his numbers. Um, Something that the Pistons could definitely use. And I think at 37, it's a good pick because you're not dependent on him next year. This is someone you can develop if need be. But it looks like he's about ready because he's been in college for years. So he's not one of those young prospects that has to develop physically. I think he's already there. Foster, who we talking about?
Yeah, so Chaz Lanier, like you said, he spent a good amount of time in college. I want to say he played 4 years at North Florida, and I think he was granted an extra year for COVID. He hit the transfer portal and went to Tennessee. And I think his last year at North Florida, he started to kind of take off. I want to say he entered. He thought about entering the draft, removed his name, went back to school, which was a
Mhm.
good was a good idea. Obviously, Dalton Connect was just leaving Tennessee, so it opened up an opportunity for him to get a lot of playing time. And like I said, he made the right decision. He won the Jerry West Award for the best shooting guard. He won an award as the best transfer player into the SEC, and he he broke the record for most threes by a Tennessee player in a single
Mm,
season. Yeah,
that's saying a
um,
lot.
so, but he's a movement shooter. He's a sharpshooter. Ironically, he's got comps to Malik Beasley, and I think that a lot of that has to do with his ability to hit tough shots. relocate without the ball, cut to the basket, and most importantly, knock down 3-point shots. He's I think he's like 6'4" without shoes. He's got a 6'9" wingspan, and I think that a lot of people would say, hey, he's kind of undersized at the guard position height wise, but I think his
No,
well, hmm, six
6'4" is 6'4" do.
6'4" will do, but guards are pretty big now. 6'4" for a guy that's not a creator off the like because Tim Hardaway's what 6'6".
Yeah,
Yeah,
6'6", 6'7", something like
yeah.
that.
So I think Beasley's like 6'5", 6. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not. I wouldn't say undersized, but I think you think nothing of it if he was a point guard per se. And I know it's positionless basketball. What is it? But anyways,
I just
um,
classify them a little different. If they're like 6'6", I would say they're a big guard.
yeah, yeah,
So that's what I would say. But other than that, if you're 6'4", that's a big point guard. 6'4" as a shooting guard, that's a
it's in
regular
the realm.
size. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shooting
but
guards usually 6'5" and up,
right.
usually.
But yeah, he's got a 6'9" wingspan, and he tested well at the combine. I think he finished fifth as far as standing vertical jump, and he finished third in like some type of agility workout. He's got some athleticism to him, and yeah, I think that as far as where he fits into the Pistons mix, I think he's a guy that could eventually be a bench scorer. That I think that you got to surround him with size defensively because I think he does have some deficiencies when it comes to more athletic, fleet of foot guards. And I think you got to put a creator around him because he's not that much of a playmaker, and he's not that creative off the dribble. But he's a solid player. He can definitely score the basketball, and I think that it makes guys like Tim Hardaway more expendable. We know that we want to upgrade in certain aspects, and we may have to move on from Tim Hardaway. And I think that has been made apparent by us going after Chaz.
Yeah, I'm gonna read a couple of these comments. MSU Detroit fan says definitely like Chaz, but I also like the undrafted free agent addition of Bryce Williams. And he also says Bryce could potentially be at that third center as a Paul Reed replacement.
I don't think he's tall enough to be a Paul. I think
He's
he's only
only
six
he's
six.
like 6. How tall is he? 6'6".
I believe he's 6'6".
Yeah. Paul Reed got about 2 minutes a game if
Yeah,
if the game was decided.
he had a whole lot of BNPs.
Yeah. So yeah, I do like the pick of Chaz Lanier. Like I said, I kind of figured that the Pistons would go that route. And if you pay attention to Woodward Sports and everything else, they kept saying Chaz Lanier is the guy. He's the guy. They brought in a lot of people to visit, but people were really, really high as far as the media in Detroit on Chaz Lanier. And after the first round, I said, halfway through the first round, I said, you know what? Pistons may get Chaz Lanier the way it's going because everybody that was supposed to be picked in the first round was going in the first round. No one was falling. I think the only one that kind of fell was what's his name? The guy drafted by Utah, the one that demanded a trade already.
Oh, Bailey. Did he demand a trade?
He,
Really?
he demanded a trade already.
What? That's
Now
crazy.
maybe I'm reading into a post that wasn't true, but I read a post that said he demanded a trade already.
I know he didn't fly out with the other draft pick.
He avoided going to Utah and working out for him because he didn't want to play there.
Oh well, he avoided a lot of workouts, but I think that like how when the draft picks initially get drafted and then they fly in and do the whole media thing with the team, I think that he hasn't participated in that
No,
portion.
he specifically said he wasn't.
Oh, okay. He
He
went out of
wasn't.
his way to say
He
that.
didn't want to talk to Utah, work out for him, or interview with him because he wasn't. Didn't he didn't think he was going there and didn't have any interest in playing there.
Yeah,
How's
and
that for gratitude?
yeah, it's not a. I can't remember who said it, but it's kind of that entitled. I've already been getting paid in college type deal. And then you look at his like advisor or his agent, he just looks like the shisty uncle that sells your cookies.
Man,
Like, bro, like I don't want to, but he
you
just
can't
looks
tell
so slick and grimy.
you can't tell me he ain't sold no bootleg tickets from somewhere. He, that guy there, man, he's your agent. Oh boy,
There's a guy on the east side right now that looks just like
yeah,
everything down to the fur coat they took a picture of.
man, he looks like a battle rap manager. That guy. Oh my goodness.
And that is not a compliment.
No, no, no. But at the same time, it's like it's not. It's happened before where you had players that especially in the NFL, where they say, I'm not playing for that team. I don't want to play for that team. This, that, and other. And usually those are ones that get looked over and they don't get drafted. But Utah said, "This is our guy. We're drafting him."
How do you even how do you even cook a trade up? Like, what do you got to trade? Because if I'm Utah, I'm not taking future draft picks. Like, what you do you trade an equal comparable like draft? New draft pick. Like, I feel like everybody that drafted is happy or like gonna at least pretend like they're happy with who they got. Like, how do you even work that out? I don't know.
Well, let me say first of all, I'm not. I didn't see it on
Oh yeah,
ESPN
it might not
or
be true.
anything
It might not be.
credible. I just saw it on a post. So hey, I didn't read into it, but I just thought it was funny. However, looking at both sides, if you're another team, right? How
Why
do
would
you
you want
trade for that? Because this is your attitude. You just got drafted. This is your dream. And you're saying, I'm not paying for this team. And who am I going to give up for this? You're unproven. Then
it?
if you're Utah, it's like, I invested my fifth pick in you. Why would I trade you? Unless it's something very, very lucrative, but it's not going to happen because your attitude.
Yeah, because here's the thing: you have no leverage. Like the
Yeah.
person, when you bring somebody else to the table, you automatically are the desperate party in that situation because you're trying to get off somebody that decided they don't f with you. So it's like you can't because Danny Ainge is known to fleece teams and to get over with trades. He
Mhm.
has zero leverage in being like, well, you just can't pull up to the table with any type of boldness. You gotta come with your hand out, like, please give us anything for
And you know what? And then if this is true, now any of this is true, it has nothing to do with going to a bad team because if you're drafted in the first 7 or 8 picks,
that's a given,
you know that's a given, right?
right?
And then for you to say, hoping to go to Washington, it's not about the team, it's about the location. He
Yeah,
didn't
because
want to go to
Washington
Utah.
is trash.
He didn't want to go to Utah, bro.
Yeah,
It's like, man, I'm going to Utah. There's nothing in Utah. You got to understand, during the season, you're not going to be in Utah like that.
yeah, you're
You're
gonna
going to be
have
traveling, this,
yeah,
that, and other.
you're
You
gonna have a
might get an
crib.
apartment in Utah. And in your off
Yeah.
season, you got more off season than you do regular season. Don't look at it like that. You're going to spend half the season in other cities. 41 games at home, 41 games away. There's not another franchise in Utah, so you're going to be out of Utah 41 games out of the season. If that's the case, don't even look at it like that. Get through your contract, play. You go out there, you do your numbers, you be good, be as good as you possibly can be, and then when you come a free agent, then you have a leg to stand on. Get me out of here.
And Utah has had terrible luck with the draft. Like they've been really bad the last couple of years, semi tanking in order to get lottery picks, but they've just been in the most awkward been in the most awkward positions because when you look at their last couple of drafts, outside of Ace Bailey, which has been a failure so far, before that they drafted Cody Williams, the Jalen Williams brother, who was basically, I feel like, kind of his stock was boosted off the strength of his brother.
Mhm.
He's been he was I think he was one of the worst offensive players period last year. And then before that, Trey Hendrickson, who you probably do you know who that is?
Yeah,
Yeah, we I think we were breaking down drafts.
I think he's one of the people that we had on the radar.
Yes, yes, I think
He's
we
probably
liked
six
him.
nine, something like that, and he
He
was
was like a stretch for,
stretch
yeah.
for you.
And I don't remember watching him play last year. I really don't remember watching Cody Williams play either. But um, yeah, yeah. And Hendrickson had a bad injury. If it wasn't his rookie year, it was his second year. But yeah, the Jazz have been. It's been weird because they have good players like Keon George. I remember him cooking the Pistons a couple times. John Collins.
Right.
Uh, Laurie Markkinen, the
They got some good young. We played them and they went
oh
crazy
yeah,
on
they
them.
beat the dogs out of us, didn't
Yeah,
they?
they hit everything they threw up.
yeah, they play us tough.
And I
That's
don't think
that's for
Mark
damn sure.
Mark can play. I don't think the center played that game.
Nah,
It was
Laurie
the
and then
young guards that was going crazy.
yep. Walker Kessler. I don't even know if Walker Kessler played, but he's one of the premier rim protectors. But yeah, they got some good players, but um they've got no help from the last couple of draft picks. That's for damn sure. So
Yeah, I mean, I get it. This is. I think we're grooming uh, players, the rookies, for a sense of entitlement. I think they feel like they have leverage. They can go where they want to go, and I think it all starts with the NCAA, with the transfer portal, NIL. They're giving these guys a leg to stand on with that because they're doing this in college now. You know,
that
they go
leverage
through.
starts in high school. These kids
Yeah,
are
probably for
celebrities and social media stars out the gate. So, but yeah, they start making millions in college, and that hunger and that thirst to get to the league and hit the ground running is I won't say it's gone because there are players um, that still have crazy work ethic. I've seen guys that like hit the gym like it like draft and then in the gym. That VJ Edgecombe, I think the footage they showed, he was in the gym immediately after that. So, um, but yeah,
okay. Well, it's crazy because that's just is what it is. That's what we're dealing with nowadays. That's what we have to deal with. That's what we have to learn to deal with. It's going to keep happening, and it's not like it didn't happen in the past. I mean, we can go back to uh, what's his name? Oh gosh, quarterback for the Giants, um,
Eli,
Eli Manning.
Eli, yeah,
He came out and said, "Hey, I'm not playing for San Diego Chargers. You know, I'm not playing for them. There's no way." And the Chargers were horrible. I'm not going to them. I think Peyton Manning said at one point he wasn't playing for certain people while he was in college.
really?
Yeah, Peyton Manning.
Did he
Peyton.
go number one though?
Yeah, he went number one.
Hmm.
But he said that before the draft order. Like he was. I remember back then him saying the teams that he did not want to play for. But he was the consensus number one. He was going number one regardless. And I don't care who would have been number one, regardless of what he said, they was gonna draft him at number one because they knew he was gonna be one of them.
Yeah. Speaking of Tennessee, he was the man as a
Yeah.
volunteer.
Yeah. Which, this is perfect transition to get back to talking about Chaz. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You see how I lined that up for us?
We both did. But
Yeah. I give you that. I give you that. But Chaz, I want to ask you something, Foster. Do you think this guy can earn some minutes early, or is this one of the guys that that's going to sit and learn for a year or two Do you think he plays immediately? Not start, of course, but do you think he gets some significant playing time? Because you gotta remember, we still got we got 5 and 3 that plays a lot. We have 8 players already that's going to play a lot. Now I don't know if a couple will be there. I believe Malik Beasley is going to sign an extension. I don't think Hardaway will be back. But with that being said, you already got 7 people ahead of you. Does he play a lot early, or is it one of those things where he has to wait?
It's all gonna come down to how the chips fall as far as what we do in free agency, trades wise. That's gonna make a big impact. I think that the table is set for him to if if we don't re-sign either Dennis Schroeder or Tim Hardaway. I think that it sets the table for that. I think it's a foregone conclusion that more than likely the starting lineup as of right now is going to be Cade, Ivy, Asar, Tobias, Duran. So that means Beasley comes off the bench in a similar role to what movement shooter, microwave. That's kind of Beasley's role. That's 100% Beasley's role, but that's kind of the same mold that Lanier is under. So he would have to, with him not being a point guard, playmaker type, you're gonna have to if you're not playing the three next to, which I believe Ron Holland is probably more in that mold of the wing position. You're gonna be competing with the likes of um, Fontecchio, possibly, assuming Tim is gone. I guess you don't have to worry about that. But like Sasser's gonna have that same role as a, you know, uh, floor spacing, shooter at the guard position. But yeah, it's going to come down to the Pistons very well may go out and get like a Neil Alexander Walker. I mean, I think we've kind of been rumored to be interested in him as well. So that is another guy that kind of plays the same role that Lanier plays. But I think that he's going to have an opportunity. It's just going to depend on who we bring back.
Yeah, I think also what's going to play a big role is, to be honest, is what they see in the summer league from this guy.
100%.
Because I think if he goes in there and he lights it up and looks the part, if he looks now, mind you, he's 22. No, he's 24 years old, I
He's
believe.
older. He's an older player.
So, um, if he comes in and does what he's supposed to do and looks electric during the summer league, they might have some belief in him where some of these players might be a little expendable as far as moving forward, as far as putting together. Because I think what this team needs and what this team is going to go after is a stretch four. I think they're going to go after a stretch four. And there's been some names floating around, and I think the Pistons know what they need, and they need a stretch four. And they're going to have to put together some players to get one. So,
I think that how well he can defend the three is going to be major. I think that there's some availability at that backup wing position. If he can defend the three, he could possibly take some minutes away from Ron Holland, honestly, because the biggest the biggest issue for him that makes him non-playable with certain individuals like a Duran is the inability to shoot from the outside. Talking about Ron Holland, you can't really play Holland with Duran because you got too many guys that have no threat to
no
shoot
threat.
from the outside. Or with an Asar, you can't put you don't want to play around Holland too
And
much
and
because
we love Asar, but it is what it is. There's no outside. That's you need spacing. Spacing is probably one of the most important things on offense. Is spacing, and you don't space the floor well if you don't have no outside shooters. You can't have too many non-shooters on the floor.
Yeah. And Lanier, the one thing we know about Lanier is that he can move without the ball. He's able to shoot from the outside. He can hit the mid range pretty good. So you open up a lot of opportunities to be effective without the ball in your hand. So if he comes in and he's got some true defensive prowess, you're kind of checking all the boxes that you're looking for. Um, Mind you, maybe he could have if he wasn't 24 years old already. Maybe he goes in the first round, but they just the the reality is that he's pretty much a finished product, and what you see is what you get from him. So that's often a knock against draft picks.
Yeah, one of the things we're going to see what really happens this summer league. Do you have about any idea when the summer league games start?
I want to say the 10th, if I'm not mistaken. The rock
Because it ain't
the
it ain't far after the draft. Like they get right to it.
Yeah, the schedules have already dropped. I want to say it starts July 10th, but the rosters haven't. That's what I thought that I was hoping that we would be able to discuss today, but I don't believe part of it is has been released yet.
Yeah, one of the things is they like I said they get right to uh, the the summer league games. And do you expect Arthur Thompson to be in the summer league games?
No,
I expect
one
Holland to be there for sure.
I was gonna say I better see Holland in there.
I
Um,
expect him to be there. That
yeah,
I'm talking about people on the roster already. Um, as far as that, I expect Holland to be there
yeah, I'm interested in seeing
and
Holland,
Clintman for
Bobby
sure.
Clement for sure. Dennis Jenkins, he had a really good year last year at the G
Yeah,
League level. He averaged 21 points a game. I think he won some awards. But yeah, I want to see, uh, how he develops. And obviously Lanier and Bryce Williams, Dawson Garcia, those guys as well. Um,
yeah. It's going to be interesting. We definitely going to cover that. We're going to talk about that some when the time arrives for the summer league. Definitely going to you'll get your first you're going to see Lanier get a lot of minutes. He's going to play. He's definitely going to play.
and
Go ahead.
And just to let you know, the Summer League starts July 5th.
Mm,
I'm trying to see. Oh, the Pistons' first game is
next
7
week.
11.
Yeah,
Their
the
first game.
summer league starts next week. So you like I said, the draft was a couple days ago, and it's like 2 weeks later. You'll see the draft picks in action. What's crazy
Good
is we
market in
have
there.
yeah
But
we have
while the
such
buzz is high, you might as well keep it going.
and you know what's great? We have such a young team, but only a couple are going. A couple like you're not going to see Oscar Thompson. You'll never see Kate in the summer league game ever again. You won't see Duran. You know what I'm saying? That's the core. You won't see Ivy. You know what I'm saying? That's our core, and they're a young core. So it's a beautiful thing. But you will see Holland. You will see Clintman. You will see Lanier, and I think that's what we need to see. I need to see what these guys do in the offseason. And for some odd reason, Foster, I think Holland is going to go crazy in the summer league.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just because he's had that experience to play against the NBA elite. I mean, he was getting playoff minutes somewhat, so he should flourish and shine amongst some of these younger players, and hopefully we get a chance to see what he's been working on. That's what I'm most excited about.
I hope you've been working on that outside shot.
Man, if anything, please, and put in. And I think one of his goals that he talked about during the year was putting on some muscle. If that dude can put on, 10 pounds of muscle or whatever, I think he is gonna, because I think he's already strong attacking the rim, but that maturity and strength is gonna make him a real force to be reckoned
Well, he better put on some muscle. The way DiVincenzo was manhandling.
with. Ooh, we not gonna we not gonna speak on that.
Oh, my bad. My bad. He got up under him. It was all leverage. It was all leverage.
For
Got up
sure,
under
for sure. And DiVincenzo's been around. He's a little bit older. So that grown man strength
him.
ain't
Yeah.
nothing like that grown man strength.
And old boy, like 17, 18, and what, 18, 19 years old?
He
Like,
was 19 like the whole year. So like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
You a
no,
little kid, man. Vincenzo been here a minute, man.
little light in the ass,
Yeah, little light something. Um, yeah, so I think he's going to get down in the summer league though, and I'm looking um if Ron Holland can be improved, it just bodes well for the Pistons. But the real deal off season starts next week with free agency.
Whew.
We have to make a splash either through free agency or trade. If not, I just I don't see us doing bad next year, but I don't see us, you know, being contenders for the Eastern Conference Championship. And that's what I'm looking for going forward is to be Eastern Conference contenders. I think we'll be a playoff team if you don't change anything on the roster. You keep the current roster with these new additions. I still think you're 6 or 7 as far as, at the finish of the season. I still think you're 6 or 7. But, you need something to get you, to be 2 or 3, 4, even 4. You have to, we need something to get us to that next level. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think that we're a year ahead of our we're at least a year ahead of our timeline. But with the East being as wide open as it is, I think that it would be disappointing. And like I said, and like you said, there will be question marks going into the year about how we go about ascending to the level. But but yeah, I think it would be a little disappointing if we finish the year with the same, finishing fifth. As crazy as that is to think about, that we will be disappointed about finishing fifth in the East. But with the way things are setting up, this is a perfect opportunity for us to seize the opportunities that we have ahead of us. So
yeah. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Do you do you want to put a bow on this, Foster, or have we done enough?
yeah,
Did where we gotta go?
yeah, I think that we did a good job. I think we did as good a job as we could have. I know Trajan Langdon talked about we were interested in moving up into the first round, so there's a big question mark as to who was he looking at? Whether it's Danny Wolf maybe or um, yeah, there's some guys out there that we might have been interested in because that would have kind of addressed our floor spacing big situation. But he said it was extremely expensive this year to move into the first round. So I think that all things considered, I think we did a good job of addressing some of the question marks and things that we needed to improve on. But I'm excited to see how free agency, kind of plays out. There's teams have been active. We haven't been real. Um, we haven't done we haven't done anything as far as trades and free agency and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's something to pay attention to as free agency starts. I think July 6th is the beginning of free agency. So,
Yeah,
along with summer league, that's what we have to look forward to in the upcoming week. So yeah, it'll be real interesting to see what we do. Obviously, Nas Reed is off the board, so
yeah. That was. I kind of thought
yeah,
that was a major possibility for him
to just go
not to
back.
be available.
Yeah, I
It-
didn't. Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of smoke, in other ways. I think Devin Booker's also about to sign an extension as well,
yeah,
so that's gonna take that rumor and
yeah.
excitement off the table for at least a couple of years. Um,
Durant going to Houston
yeah, Durant went to
because
Houston, so
these are names that been affiliated with Detroit, possibly being over
Semi,
there.
yeah,
You know,
rumors.
it's just rumors, but a lot of these things aren't going to, of course, be what it is. Just strictly rumors. So
Yep. And then Desmond Bain obviously getting moved, open things up for a guy like Santi Aldama to maybe come back to go back to Memphis because they freed up a bunch of money as well. So teams have
Mhm.
been active and of course us.
Indiana made a trade during the championship.
Yeah, a little it
It,
was like
it
the
it was a
rights to a
minor
G
move,
League player. Yeah.
but still,
Yeah. That's wild.
so things are moving, man. I think the I don't think we'll make a big splash in the off season. Hopefully, they prove me wrong. But I think what could happen is you might not be able to get the player you want in free agency, but you could trade for someone, and you might have to give some up.
Yeah, John Collins is the one that I'm paying the most attention to. As a
I would
people,
love him as the stretch four here.
yeah, that would be lit. That would be lit. So, especially if it doesn't involve a major deconstruction to what we have going on right now. So, because him, because I think it was a player option, so it was up to him to decide whether obviously he's going to opt into $30 million. That's a no brainer, but
Sure, for sure.
especially because there's not a lot of money out there. It's not a lot of big money to go out there. I mean, there's some mid-level exceptions, but you're talking about $8-9 million. So, so yeah, so I think that's something to keep an eye on as far as major changes to the team. But I wanted to talk before I wrap up, and this is a long wrapping of the bow, but tying of the bow, but uh, I look back at you when you announced the Malik Beasley signing, and I wanted to say how that aged as far as whatever. You started off saying he's a sharpshooter. We he signed a short term deal with the hopes of playing and earning an extension, which is essentially what's going to happen. What else did you talk about? He chose to come here. He could have went elsewhere. And how we're not a hotbed for free agency, which was very much true. But it aged as if you knew what was going to happen. I was like, damn, I didn't know it. I didn't know you were that on point at the time. But yeah,
No, you never know until it,
plays out
to play out. And the
for
thing
sure.
is, it's like one thing I did know is that he did choose to be here, and he chose to sign a 1 year deal. And
Right.
usually, when you choose to go free agency and sign a 1 year deal, it's one or two things going to happen. Either you're going to be moved, or I'm going to prove to you I'm worthy.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
the two things.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that usually go on. And I think he proved himself worthy. I think he's that has earned him a contract extension at the end of the day. We're going to see. I'm hopeful of that because definitely got to keep Malik Beasley.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that you said. You said that it was a movable contract, that we could have that we could possibly obtain assets later on at the trade deadline. And here it was around the trade deadline. He was begging Trajan Langdon, please don't trade me.
Don't trade me. This is where I want to
Because
be.
and realistically, we could have got a first round pick off him possibly, or I don't know. Man,
Yeah.
he had a pretty good year. Some of those teams that were looking for floor spacers and guys to come off the bench, I mean, they
I mean,
depending
think
on
think about it though. Any floor spacers in the draft that you would take over Malik Beasley after that year?
no,
You could have easily got one of those. It might not have been the top three picks.
no, it wouldn't
You
have been
could
that.
you could have got you one of them picks and after the top 3 or 4 picks. You could have got you a prospect for that.
We might have been able to get that pick back that ended up conveying to Minnesota. Maybe Minnesota's looking for. Well, he did already kind of play
He
in
played
Minnesota,
there.
but hey, hey, they're like, okay,
After
well,
that season, though, it's like,
right.
okay, come do that over here.
Right. Let's keep a good thing going. So
Mhm.
um so yeah,
Bring the
that was
shimmy.
that.
Bring the shimmy over here.
Right. I almost forgot about the shimmy. How could I forget about the shimmy? But yeah. Um But yeah, so that no that because I want to look back at our past off season analysis because I'm sure it certainly we didn't predict how well it ended up being, but yeah, that just jumped out at me as a very accurate um, analysis of what Malik Beasley could be.
Yeah. Well, that about do it for today's show. Um, like I said, subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube and anywhere you can listen to a podcast. You can find us at Post Game Podcast, FFSN in your search. Make sure you download those episodes. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers, man. We're trying to get 300 subscribers. It seems like we're getting closer, but we're just not getting the mark. I said we wanted to be at 300 subscribers by March. We are behind while you're watching, and we got more viewers right now than we've had all show. Make sure you subscribe to Bleachers Speakers on YouTube. Make sure you tell a friend about Bleachers Speakers on YouTube. And what we're going to do now is instead of playing the outro, I'm going to play the intro while we're leaving of the new show that's coming on. Me and Foster has a new show in production. It's called Uncut Michigan Sports on Wax, and we'll explain more about the title when the show gets here. But make sure you pay attention. Make sure you're subscribed to Bleachers Speakers so you'll get an alert when the show drops. Not sure when we're going to start that, but it's going to be all Michigan sports all the time. We're talking Little League all the way up to professional sports, and we're talking every sports sector. So just pay attention. Check us out. Make sure you subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube.